Welcome to the UMBC Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Steve Levy. Today we have an all-swimming show for you as we're going to introduce head coach Matt Donovan. Also, welcome to the set students Abby Farmer and Jimmy Dwyer. And coach, without further ado, welcome. I know it's your first time in this building on campus, but you are a relative newcomer to Baltimore yourself. Only been here probably like 6-7 months now. Talk about, how you like the area, how you like the campus, given the fact you're a relative newcomer.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate being here. And, I grew up in the Northeast, pretty much New England, a little bit of Connecticut, New York, New Jersey as well, so not too far away, but it's just, it's a great place to be. I mean, you want to talk about an all-American campus, an all-American college town. This is exactly where you want to be. A little bit warmer than New England, where I went to college in New Hampshire. It's probably about a foot of snow on the ground right now. So the swimmers, and I really enjoy it too. We get to train outside for a significant part of the season, which is a big thing in our world. And then what a great sports town. I mean, literally the home of Babe Ruth. And as a Red Sox fan, that's hard to see every day almost. But great sports town, great college town, and who could ask for more?
Abby, turn it over to you. Being a Maryland native, what have you and your fellow swimmers done to make Coach Donovan and his staff, which all from out of state, what have you done to kind of make them feel more at home?
Well, like you said, Baltimore, I mean, I've been here my whole life, but we've done a lot of team activities, not necessarily including them, but down to the Inner Harbor and just like incorporating the out-of-campus life into it as well. But our assistant coach, Pat and Jackie, they're both from Jersey. They like to talk about the Jersey bagels a lot, and we've been trying to give them food recommendations for the area. They want to know what the best pizza places are. And it probably doesn't live up to their expectations, but we give them good recommendations for like restaurants to go to and things to do around the area.
Have you taught them about the steamed crabs? Any training on that?
I love seafood, but no, I have not.
Coach, as we mentioned, a whole new staff. Why don't you talk about your new staff and what they bring to the program?
I think it's my philosophy with coaching is it's really Knights at a Round Table. Everybody contributes. Everybody has a very important role. So what they do is they complement, quite frankly, my weaknesses, and there's a few. And it's personalities. I don't believe in, I'm the coach of this and you're the coach of that and sort of thing. We all coach everybody. Everybody coaches all the athletes. All the athletes work with all the coaches. So, but as you mentioned, we started off with Pat Malone. He's a New Jersey guy. Primarily works with our sprinters and butterflyers. I had the privilege of working with him when I was at Long Island University, my first few years there, and he was a big help during my transition into that program. Jackie Whitty, who I've known in New Jersey coaching world for, probably 10, 15 years, and just is somebody who really is well respected around the pool deck, and it's just, it's she interacts well with her athletes, and has great feedback and really connects with them on many levels. Primarily, she'll work with the backstrokers, mid-distance type swimmers, and things of that nature. But again, everybody working with everybody. And then most recently, we brought in Jeff Fisher, our new dive coach out of Denver, Colorado, out of Mile High Swim Club is where he was most recently, one of the best diving clubs in the country, and he competed and trained with Kenyon University. And in the swimming and diving world, Kenyon is, they just got named number one in D3 for the 8 millionth year in a row. And so just a great pedigree. More importantly than all that, just great people, and that's what we're looking for. And it's been a pleasure working with them so far.
Abby, you're a graduate student. You actually earned your undergraduate degree in 2019.
Yeah.
And want to congratulate you on being a candidate for valedictorian. That
Thank you.
Just an absolutely amazing honor. But tell everyone what your undergraduate degree was in at UMBC.
So I actually double majored in health administration and policy, which has since been changed to the name of public health. And then my other degree was in psychology. And then I'm doing my master's in health policy, so kind of a nice gateway.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. Coach, again, you came in very, very late in the season last year, but had a really good experience at the championships. It was a tough championships for everyone, but on the ladies' side especially, it was really just an amazing thing to see them rally to get up for second place. Talk about how the ladies kind of really rose to the occasion last year.
Absolutely, and I think and we'll probably say this a bunch today, is that it's hard to pinpoint who is the superstar, because they're all superstars, and I mean that sincerely. It's you ask somebody to step up and they do. You ask somebody to do a race and they do, and it's really tremendous to see. In particular in that meet, we knew we were up against it, and you get to that midpoint in any meet. Usually bigger swim meets are 3, 4, 5 days long, and you get to that midpoint and you kind of know which way it's going, and some teams realize we still got a halfway to go, and some teams, well, it's already over. And this group, they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and just putting more and more points on the board. And, we could have easily finished towards the bottom of the pack and everybody would have been okay with that. But, nobody on this team gives up without a fight. And that's what I like most about it.
Yeah, Abby, for you, again, you were under no obligation to come and swim this year. You could have just continued your master's program, which I know is very, very rigorous. Why did you decide to continue to compete this year?
Well, kind of going back to what you said about the championships, even though it was so different, that was probably one of the best memories I've had on this team so far, and I wasn't quite ready to give it up just yet. And thanks to Coach Matt giving me the chance to come back, I thought there was a lot more we could accomplish, and I'm hoping that we'll get that at the end of the year. But I'm just having fun with this last year, and I wasn't ready to say goodbye quite yet. But I'm really excited to see what this year holds for us.
Coach, talk about Abby. Obviously, she was one of the ones you selected to be here today.
Yeah.
What does she mean to your program?
I mean, she's our true north, without question. It's sometimes I look at the whole pool, and there's a lot of swimmers in the pool, and I'll kind of find where Abby is, and whether it's in the pool, whether it's in practice, at a meet, in team meetings, things like that. I'm letting out a secret now, but I kind of look to Abby and see, okay, what is her expression? What is she thinking? What is she experiencing? And she lets me kind of know where we're going, and she guides the team. I mean, it's an easy way to say to anybody on the team, freshmen through seniors, hey, what's Abby doing? And what a great role model. And again, it just the expression that comes to mind is just true north.
Abby, I want to get into the Towson meet. And just what a tremendous meet that was. Obviously came down. So many races came down really to end, to the last, the last few strokes. Just talk about the energy in that meet and what that experience was like for you.
Oh, it was amazing. Like you said, the energy. I can't think of a meet where we've been that spirited and that energetic. There were so many close races, and it was just really awesome to see, especially because we had that crosstown rivalry. But that was probably one of the best dual meets we've had so far, especially since in my time we had never beaten them before. Right. So save the best for last, but it was really awesome. I was happy to be there.
Coach, again, follow up on that. Again, it was, I know that the dual meet season, that's not really your complete emphasis. You're building for championships, but I know you kind of had Towson circled on the schedule a little bit. So just for the ladies to be able to pull that meet out with so many just phenomenal swims, talk about that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And dual meets are, we're kind of cooking, right? We're cooking. We're getting towards the end of the year. We're putting a little bit here, a little bit there, and the idea is to have that finished product come February at championships. But the dual meets are a checkpoint. Where are we? What's going on? Who's going to be our backstroker? Who's going to be our freestyle? Things of that nature. And if I have to let out another family secret, I didn't realize we were winning. Somebody handed me the first. About midway through, we get a sheet and gets a score and all that kind of stuff. And I just assumed that we were a little bit behind. And then somebody said, we're actually winning. And I said, yeah, we're actually winning. And it's all on them. They're doing it. I just get to be a fan at meets. I take my notes. I get to jot down what we're doing, and just again a tremendous effort throughout, because at the time I didn't think our points were where we wanted them to be. Mm-hmm. But you wouldn't know it by their personality, their energy, their effort. Like whether we're up by 100 points or down by 100 points, their energy doesn't change. They give 100% no matter what. And, as a coach, what can you ask for? You can't ask for more.
Coach, I'll ask you a follow-up. I know both programs have dealt with a lot of injuries. Obviously, the COVID year was really difficult in terms of training and things like that. But you're getting set for the ECACs in early December. So tell us where we are, how the ladies are kind of gearing up for that meet.
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. We're just at the tail end of 4 meets in 4 weeks. So this is our final tune to see where we are. I think we're in a good spot. I know we're in a good spot. But, we'll use these next few weeks leading into the Thanksgiving break as just a last chance to ramp up. We had a great workout this morning, and, we're just going to take it one day at a time. And that's really all we can do. One day at a time, work on what's in front of us today, and you stack up enough good days, and then it'll be there when it counts.
Abby, we'll talk about your graduate program in just a minute, but before I get there, you and Jimmy Dwyer, our men's guest, share a love for the Washington Capitals. Mm-hmm. I know that's not going to make Coach very happy. I saw his Islanders keychain last week, but talk about where your love for ice hockey and the Caps came from.
Okay, so my love for the ice hockey sport in general, or just sports, my dad is actually a videographer, so he is a freelance cameraman, so he works all the local sports teams,
Wow.
Ravens, Nationals, Orioles, Caps, Wizards, you name it. So he was always going to those games when I was little, and he would take me behind the scenes, show me the trucks, and give me nice seats to watch the games when I was little. And hockey was just, I know it's not that popular compared to football and basketball and stuff like that, but that was the one that really stuck with me. And I went to my first game, and I just loved it.
Okay, well now we'll get into your program here. And pardon me, I'm going to probably look down at my cheat sheet a little bit. But you're pursuing your master in health policy, as you mentioned. But you also kind of not taking a turn, but your current research is a little bit quote unquote off the grid. Talk about how your current research in urban planning and policies kind of opened your eyes to the difficulties that we face right now.
Yeah, so actually at first I thought my research didn't really have all that much to do with what I was getting my master's in, because it was more urban policy, urban planning. I'm getting my master's in health, but we're researching how COVID and climate change and other factors have impacted cities, and seeing how COVID has impacted cities, it really opened my eyes to how much urban planning can actually contribute to access to healthcare and health services. And it's been really interesting. At first I was like, I'm not sure why I'm researching this, but I just went into it with an open mind, and I've really enjoyed what I've learned so far.
Now, when we talk about climate change, I think a lot of people are thinking about how climate change affects, coastal areas and very rural areas. But your focus obviously has been a lot on cities. So, can you give us an example or two about how climate change really affects urban areas?
Yeah, so urban areas definitely have more of a, what you would say, a global footprint on the climate change, just because there's so many people in such a dense area. And we've been researching a lot about how new developments in cities, what you should plan around to lower the impact that you have on climate change and your emissions and everything. So obviously these cities are very densely populated, and when there's so many people, they're contributing more pollution and everything. But with planning in the smarter and more eco-friendly ways to implement like new infrastructure is really interesting, and hopefully we'll continue to do so.
Abby, I know you've mentioned to me, talking about in this area, really being very interested in helping serve underserved and vulnerable populations. Why is this so important to you?
Yeah, so my undergraduate, like I said, was in health administration and policy, and we learned a lot about underserved populations and uninsured, and it really stuck out to me because I just didn't know how big of a problem it was. And you learn about it, but then when you start reading and doing research, you realize how important it is. And it's just something that I'm really passionate about. So once I get my master's, I'm hoping that I'll use it for the good and be able to positively impact these communities that aren't insured and underserved and give them more access to health services.
Finally, Abby, have you found UMBC to be a good environment for you to, both, from the whole perspective, from in the pool to academically to socially, to really experience success?
Oh yes, 100%. I couldn't imagine doing these 4 years anywhere else. I have grown so much, just as not only as a swimmer, but as a person. And honestly, when I came here, I had no idea what I wanted to do my studies in, but once I found health administration, health policy, there was no turning back, and the professors here have just been incredible. And I was able to do research as an undergraduate and as a graduate, and that was just amazing. I really love how UMBC puts emphasis on doing more outside the classroom, and the professors here are just so invested in your success, and that has without a doubt been one of the best parts of this.
Well, Abby, we certainly appreciate your time here today. We appreciate everything you've done for UMBC. Best of luck down the road swing-wise and whatever you do. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
When we come back from this short break, we'll meet the swimmer on the men's side, Jimmy Dwyer. Hang with us. And welcome back into the UMBC Coaches Corner. We're now transitioning to the men's side of swimming and diving. Head coach Matt Donovan still with us. Welcome in senior Jimmy Dwyer. And coach, we'll start with still this segment with you, but not specifically a men's question, but just you're an interesting philosophical question. You know, as I mentioned in the first segment, you're really not one to focus on the dual meets. You know, more definitely building for championships. Kind of talk about that philosophy, and we've seen in the past maybe that wasn't quite the focus, but with you it definitely is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key with our program is that it's athlete first. You're an athlete first. You're a swimmer second. And the reality of these dual meets is that we're trying to see what pieces of the puzzle fit where. And the perfect example is a relay, right? Which four men, which four women should be on that relay at any given time. And as we talked about before, injuries happen. So if we're always running in the same lineup every single time, we don't know what we have. So we're trying to find out what pieces of the puzzle we have. The other thing too is that most of these athletes have been doing this since they're 6 or 7 years old. It gets to be a point where if you're doing it over and over and over and over again, you get stale. They grew up in a system. USA Swimming is the powerhouse of swimming on the planet. We're the best swimming program in the world for a reason. And they grew up in a format of swimming every event. And then we sometimes get to college, and college coaches are like, well, everything that made you successful up to this point, let's not do that anymore. I've never understood that. So what made us successful and what made us recruit you, let's keep doing that. So we're trying to see where our pluses and minuses are. Let's see where all the puzzle pieces fits. So when we do get to February, when we do hopefully get to March, we know who can contribute and at what level.
Now I'll bring in Jimmy Dwyer, psychology major from New City, New York, and we appreciate both you and Abby taking time right after a hard workout to be here. But Jimmy, talk about, again, we mentioned in the first segment the COVID year and what it meant to all athletes all over the world, but obviously swimming so important to keep that training regimen going physically. From how are you doing right now? Where are you where you want to be now, or where would you like to be?
Well, thank you again for having me on. And I think the COVID year was really tough for all of us because there was a period of time where we weren't swimming for just a number of months, and in a sport like swimming where you really need to be practicing 6 days a week, at the minimum, 6 times a week at the minimum, it really set us back a lot. So it took a lot for us and me personally to come back from that and to really focus on getting in shape and focus on training the way we need to. But I think as a team we've done a good job of really working hard and doing the things that we need to do in the pool in order to really get back to the place where we want to be.
Coach, again, we'll talk about the men's effort against Towson, and this really showed your depth. I believe 6 first-place finishes. I believe 18 second-place finishes. That you were able to build up that good margin and defeat Towson. Talk about the guys' effort against the Tigers.
Yeah, first of all, what a great program Towson is, and all respect to them and all admiration to them. I think it's, I know Coach Jake for a while now, and he's done a lot with that program, and I think we're going to have a nice, fun rivalry over the years, and really just enjoy competing with them. And again, hats off to them. But as far as, again, the same on the women's side, as the men's side, we're trying to develop a full program here, trying to get every aspect of the team contributing. We have to whittle it down to 18 scores at conference, and 18 coming down from about 35, is going to be a tough a choice. Quite frankly, our B team could probably be a top 3 team at conference, and one of the few teams that could beat us is probably us, so we're taking this time, and as you said, different people touching first, second, third. We always want to be on the podium. That's what we're going for, and just it's the energy, it's the effort. Nobody throws away a race. Nobody's talking about their second, third, fourth race of the day. They're talking about whatever race is in front of them, and it's just it's a pleasure to watch. It's a lot of fun. I'm usually just a big fan at these meets,
Jimmy, we heard Abby talk about the energy on that in the meet against Towson. From your perspective, how did you feel, during that meet as it was going on, in the aquatic center?
Yeah, what a meet, really. Super exciting. High energy on both sides the whole way. I thought we did a good job of getting up and racing and cheering for everyone and being real loud. Because believe it or not, that that helps more than you think to get those touches, and even not even first place, but the 4th and 5th place touches to get those extra points where we really where the meet is really won. So it was great. It felt great to win. I always love winning, and it was just a real fun meet all around.
Coach, talk about the gentleman to your left again, a senior, and just what he means to your program.
Absolutely. So before I even got here, one of the first names I kept hearing about this guy Jimmy, and so his personality and his energy precedes just being on the pool deck with him. So we keep using the word energy, but it can't be understated. And what he brings to the table, and even if there is a chance that Jimmy's not in a race, he's in the race, and everybody knows where he is. Another person that I use as a gauge of where we are. Jimmy's tank is always very, very, very full. So if I ever look across the pool and he's a little wiped out, I know, all right, maybe we got to pull back just a little bit. But he's a leader on the team, and leaders come in so many different forms, and Jimmy encompasses almost all of them. Leads in the pool, leads out of the pool, leads in the classroom, and that's what we're looking for here. We're looking for leaders, and we're looking for people that want to come here and grow. We don't expect anybody to be a leader necessarily as a freshman, but we want to see those elements in somebody like that when we're recruiting them. Are you somebody that's going to be a captain 4 years from now? Because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for leaders, and Jimmy's certainly one of them.
Jimmy, is competitive as I know you are. I got to imagine you're a bit of a goal setter. So if that's the case, kind of what have you set out as your goals for your senior year?
Yeah. So pretty much the way I always look at it is, at the beginning of the year, I look at what it's really not as much focusing on the end time result that I want, but it's focusing on the things I need to do to get there. So what am I going to do in practice? What are the things that I'm going to do in practice that are going to help me achieve my goals at the end of the year? So, let's say my end goal is to go under, 150 and go a best time in the 200 IM. I'm thinking about, how many dolphin kicks I need to take in practice, in backstroke, in transition. So, it's really things like that that are really, the things that help me get to where I want to be, and the things that I try and focus on to get there.
Coach, similar to what I asked with the women's program, where do you think the guys are right now? Again, as you're looking forward to that mid-season championship competition at ECACs, before obviously you get to the conference championships at America East. But where are the guys right now?
Yeah, we're in a good spot. I think we're a little banged up. We got a few folks that are spending some time in the training room, and that's part of the deal, you know. But I think we're in a good spot, and again, just with those folks that are on the bench right now, other people are starting to rise to the top, you know, and so we're really happy about that. Training has been going very well, and both on the men's and women's side, literally from day one, they've responded to a different type of training we have here. A perfect example is every now and again a coach makes a mistake. This morning in practice, I started writing the workout out, and about 30 seconds into it, I realized this is not going to go the way I wanted it to. So I literally just erased the whiteboard and said, all right, gang, we're doing it this way from now on. And it ended up being one of the best practices we've had of the year. And I love this team because they're smart, they get it, they're good athletes, they're great swimmers, and they can respond. They can respond to the chaos a little bit. And I think that's why we're seeing so much positivity. From a competition standpoint, yeah, COVID knocked us on our butt, knocked a lot of people on their butt, but this team responds. This team really, really responds to adversity, and really excited to race in December. We're going up to Long Island, Pool at Eisenhower Park. It was actually built for the Goodwill Games. You and I remember the Goodwill Games.
Sure,
These
yeah.
guys have no idea what that is, but got a great renovation about 5 or 6 years ago. It's hosted U.S. Nationals and such. It hosted NCAAs, I believe, in like 2003, things like that. So great facility. Really excited to race there, see some different competition, and I think we're going to put our stamp on the conference at that point.
Jimmy, before we get to your kind of off-the-grid segment, obviously earning that degree come spring, what are your plans after graduation?
So right now I've been looking at different grad programs to apply to. Some here at UMBC, I was thinking about organizational psychology, and there was some programs at Hood College I was looking at too. And if I do, end up pursuing, a master's degree is what it would be, then, I would like to try and swim for, a fifth year because I have the extra year of eligibility. So I think that would be pretty cool too. But really, it's a little bit up in the air still. But the applications aren't due till later next semester. So I'm really trying to just look in depth at some of these programs and see which direction I want to go.
All right, now let's talk about something near and dear to my heart. Kind of a lot of things that we share with you and Abby, but your appreciation of the Washington Capitals. And when I see an athlete coming in from New York and I look at what are their favorite teams, I see Yankees, Mets, or Giants, Jets, or stuff like that. But I started following you a little bit on social media, and I started seeing in your bio that you're a Washington Capitals fan. So tell us how that actually transpired.
Yeah, so I actually became a Capitals fan when I was in middle school, and it was funny because I came from a big sports family, but the one sport that my dad really wasn't that big of a fan of was hockey. And I had a friend in middle school that played hockey, and he was a huge Caps fan for whatever reason. And there was some reason where I would watch the Rangers and I would watch the Islanders, and I just disliked them for whatever reason. It's just really they just didn't feel like my team. So I started watching the Capitals, and I just fell in love from there. And I fell in love with the whole team, and even the coach at that time, it was Adam Oates or something like that, and just everything about it, just really I was just drawn to.
And ironically, that fandom of the Capitals actually led you to UMBC.
Yeah, it did. So when I was looking at colleges, I was really drawn to this area because this is where the Capitals played. So I was looking at different schools in Maryland, and I found UMBC, and right after I went on my recruiting trip, I knew this is where I wanted to be. I really fell in love with it, and having the Caps right next door was just made it that much better.
So again, nothing better than going to a live ice hockey game. Have you been able to get down to any games at Capital One Arena? And tell folks what the experience is like being at a live game.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And I've been to so many games since I've been a freshman all the way till now. I've already been to one this year. They ended up losing in overtime, so I was a little upset against Tampa. But it really is an amazing experience because the energy in an arena, especially in playoff games, because I've been to a number of those too, is just, nothing like I've ever really experienced before. And it gets loud in there. And when everyone's, yelling and waving their towels, and, there's a number of things that they do to get the fans engaged, it's really just a fun time.
Jimmy, coming from a big family, how do your younger siblings and your friends back home, how do they kind of deal with you, being a Caps fan?
Yeah, so most of them don't like it. I get people talk a lot of trash to me a lot, especially when they're playing the New York area teams. But it's all fun, and it's my family. My grandfather is from San Jose, so he's a big Sharks fan. So everyone else decided to be a Sharks fan, and I was left alone as a Capitals fan. But it's all just fun to talk about and have a good time with.
Again, Jimmy, will close with the kind of final question that I also asked Abby. Your UMBC experience. Have you found UMBC a good environment for you to be successful? In the pool, in the classroom, and then obviously socially as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from day one, not even talking about swimming, I felt like I was set up to have success here, and I always felt like I was welcome, and I always felt like this was my home. Or this was my home away from home, at least. And, everything about my experience here has been great. And, I can't, thank the university and the swim team enough for, everything that they've done for me to put me in a position of success, whether it's athletic trainers or academic advisors or coaches, all coaches I've had. It's really just been a phenomenal experience overall.
Great to hear, Jimmy. We really appreciate the visit. Best of luck down the road in your season, and in your definitely in your future endeavors. Coach Donovan, again, a belated welcome to Baltimore. Thanks for giving us that update. Best of luck in your first full season with your staff as the head coach of the Retrievers.
Excellent. Thank you for having us, and we're looking forward to a great season. Thank you.
That's going to do it for this edition of the UMBC Coaches Corner. We'll be back with basketball come next month, but. Early in mid-January, senior day, when the swimmers go up against Howard, be there for that meet. You'll be really amazed at the energy that you see in intercollegiate swimming. So be there for that, and join us next time for the UMBC Coaches Corner.